and I hope you're having a nice day, and thank you for tuning in to my Premier League 24-25 predictions. Without no further delay, let's get right into it, and let's go across to North London. Yeah, it's the big bottle jobs who always blow the title. Back-to-back seasons, successive seasons of being really good at Christmas and then being pipped to the post by Man City. Arsenal, the North London bottle jobs. Are they going to win the Premier League? Well, stick around to the end because I will reveal all of my Champions League spots before saying the actual champions. But they will definitely qualify for the Champions League. Whether that position will be, you don't know. However, good business from Mikel Arteta's men in the backroom staff. Ricardo Calafiori and David Raya in, and selling an Emile Smith-Rowe who wanted to leave because of not having enough game time. Hopefully he can prove Arsenal wrong that selling him was a very bad decision. Now let's immediately go on to Aston Villa. The best transfer business in the world, in my opinion, so far. They've signed Amadou Onana for 60 million, Ian Matson for 45 million, Cameron Archer for 17 million, Jadon Philogence for 16 million, Samuel Ayling Jr. for 14 million, Lewis Dobbin for 12 million, Aaron Barrenechea for 8 million, Ross Barkley for 6 million, and then they've let the likes of Moussa Diaby, who didn't really perform to the expectations they expected, for 60 million to Al Ittihad. They sold Douglas Luiz to Juventus for 52 million and bought Onana for 60 million. That's an 8 million difference for a player who has more potential to be better. They sold Tim Iregnam to Everton for 11 million. It's those deals of players that you know you don't want to play and just selling them to teams where they're actually going to get game time. That's the good part about football. You've got to play it tactical, and Aston Villa's transfer business, especially because they're in Europe now, they need the squad depth. Their transfer business shows that they can compete at the top level, and that is the reason why they're going to qualify for the Champions League at least as a minimum, if not maybe Europe as a push. Next team up is Bournemouth, signing the likes of Luis Sinisterra, Enes Unal and Daniel Jebinson. However, they have had a big blow, or two big blows, sorry. Lloyd Kelly lost to Newcastle on a free transfer. He could have been worth like 30 to 40 million if they'd just renewed his contract and then said, off you go, son. But they've played it very bad there. And Andoni Iraola also lets Dominic Solanke go to Tottenham. That's his trophy cabinet empty for the rest of his career. You won't even need it. You can go and sell it to Man City and there were 115 charges, mate. Anywho, Bournemouth, let's get back to the predictions, and I think they're going to finish 16th. Up next is Brentford. They've not really had a bigly active transfer window, obviously selling David Raya and signing Igor Thiago. But Brentford last season, I thought they could have got relegated at Christmas because they weren't playing at the standards, and Burmo and Wissa were doing decent, but the whole other side, Mark Flecken was doing well to keep goals from not going in, but as soon as Ivan Toney came back in the side, bang, 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 goals firing, everyone's working together again, and this is the reason why I think Brentford are now going to get mid-table again and not be in a relegation battle, because Ivan Toney is the pinnacle, and if you took him and Igor Thiago from Club Brugge up front, that could be lethal, and then add Johan Wissa and Brian and Burmo to the wings, you've got a brilliant front four, and that is the reason why I will put him 11th. Not 11th, 12th, sorry. Let's go to Brighton next, signing Jakub Minter and Vifa from Feyenoord, but not really any statement transfers, and instead selling on Dennis Undav to Stuttgart for 27 million and Pascal Gross for 7 million. Yeah, Pascal Gross, unbelievable seasons for Brighton in the past 2 seasons, but it won't be the same without De Zerbi. They've got a 31-year-old manager, the youngest manager in Premier League history. The weight's on his shoulders. There's more pressure on him than there is to cook a sausage correctly in front of Gordon Ramsay. And I don't think he will survive the whole season. Brighton are normally known as a patient club, but I don't reckon they're going to survive the full season under his helm as manager. However, Brighton are still going to finish above Brentford, and that's why I've put them in 10th position. Chelsea up next, the mid-table Mandams. The kit looks like a kid's drew with a crayon all across it. They've signed players that partially no one's really heard of. Yeah, you've got Pedro Neto, Kiernan Dewsbury and Tosin Adarabioyo, and maybe some people have heard of Mark Ewell. But the other ones, Renato Vega from FC Basel, a guy called Wiley from Atalanta for 11 million, Amari Kellyman for 23 million, and he's from the under-21 side of Aston Villa. And then you've got Philippe Jorgensen, who wasn't really a player I've heard of before. And then they're selling players like Ian Matson, Lewis Hall, Amari Hutchinson. It's just not good transfers from Chelsea. And yeah, they will finish. I say they will finish 9th, but they're lucky, really. They really are. Because their transfer business has been terrible. But I don't want to nag at them the whole video. But that could be one of the worst transfer windows in Chelsea history. And that's saying something when they spent like 1 billion in a transfer window and $500 million in a transfer window, in a January transfer window. Yeah, World Cup did happen after that, but Jesus Christ, you don't need to spend that much money. Up next, Crystal Palace. Some good deals here. Daichi Kamada, Ismaila Sarr, that's a really good deal. Ismaila Sarr from Marseille. I remember when he was at Watford, thriving in the Premier League with Gerard Deulofeu. And they've also signed a youngster, Chris Riyad, who was in the Barcelona Academy before. However, they will really miss Michael Elise and Oliver Glasner's first full season in charge at the helm. I reckon he could work something special. However, I'm going to put them in 11th, just behind their rivals Brighton and Hove Albion. It's not going to be anything too special. Out next, Everton. Jim O'Brien from Olympique Lyon, good deal. Iliman Ndiaye from Marseille, good deal. Tim Iregbenam from Aston Villa, good deal. A brilliant loan deal for Jesper Lindstrom. All of Everton's ins have been good, but their performances are the things that worry me. Their point deduction last season almost got them relegated. They stayed resilient under Daichi. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen every single season. I reckon they will survive, even though they have lost Amadou Onana to Aston Villa. They will survive, however, it will be in a relegation battle, and I think they will finish 17th overall. Oh, deep breath, Callum. Up next, Fulham. Signing Emile Smith-Rowe off Arsenal for 32 million. That's a really good player. Re-signing Ryan Sessegnon from the trophyless team. He might actually have more chance of winning a trophy at his former club Fulham than he had at Tottenham. Anywho, let's have a look at the outgoings. Joao Palhinha. Marco Silva tried his best to stop it. It only expired last season's transfer window because they couldn't get the paperwork in on time. He had to fly back to Fulham. How humiliating would that have been? Having to fly back to Fulham after knowing your dream move could have come true and it's fell apart at the last minute. He's finally got that dream move. And then you've got other players following him out the door. Tosin Adarabioyo, Bobby Decordova-Reid to Leicester City. And then you've got Tim Ream going back to America to probably where he will retire. Brilliant season from Tim Ream for the past 2 seasons, helping Fulham stay alive in the Premier League. And I think Fulham are going to finish 13th behind Brentford. Next team is Ipswich Town. Good deals from Ipswich, spending some of the biggest money in the whole of Europe so far. Amari Hutchinson, 24 million, good deal because he played brilliant last season. And then you've got the Hull City captain Jacob Greaves for 22 million. And then you've also got the partner in crime of Jacob Greaves, Liam Delap. Yeah, he is a striker. However, he did play with Jacob Greaves, Liam Delap at Hull, and they were brilliant together. 18 million as well, that's a bargain for a potential England number 1 striker. And then you've got Arne Muric to be their number one goalkeeper. Connor Townsend and Ben Johnson to battle it out to be the right back. They've not really lost anyone big. Yes, selling Caden Jackson to Derby County. Because I'm a Derby County fan, that's really big of a player. But also Victor Hladky to Burnley. If Burnley are to get promoted again next season and Ipswich go down, Hladky's just going to be chilling on the Burnley bench behind James Trafford. And then you've got where they're going to finish. Many people are having them written off as relegated. I've not got them as relegated. I have got them at 15th. I know that might sound crazy, but I do believe in it. I do believe in them. And let's swiftly move on to Leicester City. Signing a couple good players in Fatawu and Decordova-Reid. Okoli is a good centre-back. Not really heard of him too much. But losing Dewsbury Hall and not signing a centre-mid to replace them. Yeah, Buonanotte is a centre-mid all around the same position of Kieran Dewsbury Hall. But you're going to need to sign someone else to fill the big boots of Dewsbury Hall. He was their playmaker. And now he's left for 36 million. And then you've got Kelechi Iheanacho finally deciding to leave England after stints at Man City and Leicester. Going to Sevilla. I wish him well in Sevilla because he was one of my favourite players. Especially from the Premier League side Leicester. And I think Leicester are going down. I reckon they'll go down in 19th position. Liverpool. Can I just point out, Liverpool's transfer window has been bland as no seasoning on chips and no sauces on chips. Not making any moves. They've not even sold anyone massive. Thiago Alcantara left them in the summer and retired. He was a very good player, trust me. Thiago, really good player. Sad to see him retire at the same time as Toni Kroos because the spotlight's gone off him because of Toni Kroos's retirement. And then you've got Joel Matip leaving the club on a free. But apart from that, Liverpool have been as dead as a chopped down tree. However, I do reckon they will finish in the top 4. So, yeah, they could still be in the chance of winning the Premier League. And we go from a dead team to 115 charges dead team. They do need the lawyers if they are going to get charged. And they signed Savinio from Troyes, the fellow team owned by Daddy Sheikh is the nickname. And then you've got Taylor Harwood-Bellis, Sergio Gomez and Tommy Doyle leaving to their respective sides of Southampton, Real Sociedad and Wolves. And then you've got Jan Couto loaned out to Dortmund to get some game time. I wish him the best of luck because he was on fire at Girona. And Man City are going to finish in the top 4. Definitely. Swiftly on to Manchester United and signing players and then they immediately get injured. Luckily enough that didn't happen to Joshua Zirkzee. But they signed Lenny Yoro. They play him in 2 games. He's now injured for 3 months. 62 million down the drain. Leo's sat there splashing the cash in a blooming rich pool. Meanwhile, Man United are trying to splash the cash on his medical bills for heaven's sake. Luckily enough, though, they did make some of that money off selling Willy Campoala for 10 million and blooming Mason Greenwood for 26 million. But that's not even the shockingest transfer, Mason Greenwood to Marseille. Varane to an Italian side who has just been promoted, Como. They've just been promoted. They were not really comfortably promoted in my eyes. They played a bit shakily. And yet, a team with barely any history, he's gone and signed for them over a team like Inter Miami, who he was rumoured with. Inter Miami with Varane, Busquets, Alba and Messi would have looked phenomenal. He would have actually been able to win a trophy again. Or not a bigger trophy, let's say. But a better trophy than trophy chances than going to Como. But yeah, Erik ten Hag, I'm surprised he's managed to keep his job. Man U lost the Community Shield. I reckon they're going to finish 7th in the league. And let's get on swiftly straight to Newcastle United. Some good deals here. Lewis Hall from Chelsea, Vlachodimos from Forest, William Asula from Sheffield United, a really good prospect who played for Derby County. Yeah, he wasn't good at Derby County, but at least we can have the bragging rights when Newcastle qualify for Europe again and he plays in Europe. Oh yeah, we gave him a real good footstep to boost his career. And then they also signed Lloyd Kelly, a really crucial part of Bournemouth's survival side. And then you've got John Ruddy, who is almost as lost as me in a superstore. And then they sell players like Elliot Anderson and Jakob Minter for a combined transfer fee of 76 million. And then they let Paul Dummett leave after like 7 years at the club. Newcastle, they're going to qualify for the Europa League, and I reckon they're going to finish 6th. Nottingham Forest up next. I'm not going to give them normally the amount of stick I would do, because obviously I am a Derby County fan. However, I still want to give them some stick. Steve Cooper, they let him go. In my eyes, a really good manager to take Forest from bottom to getting promoted in the same season and then keeping them alive in the Premier League. Harsh sacking, and that shows you how harsh football is. It's just going not your way for like a month or two and you're out the door now. Usually it was like, we'll keep you to the end of the season, let's see if you can progress, if not we will have to part ways. But now they're just firing the trigger quicker than the Turkish guy that won silver without any protection at the Olympics. And half of the players they've signed, Elliot Anderson, yeah, barely a really good player for £42 million. Nikola Milenkovic for 15 million. I think he's the centre-back from Fiorentina. And then you've got Jota Silva, Mario Stamanic, Carlos Miguel and Emmanuel da Silva Moreira, I believe his name is, who you've barely even heard of. And then you've got players coming back from loan like Joe Worrell and John Joe Shelby and Hwang Chan. But then you've got players leaving the club. Moussa Niakate to Lyon, good deals. Oro Mangala to Lyon. Lyon have paid 55 million to get 2 Forest players. Freuler's gone back to Bologna where he can play European football. Aguilera and Panzo have decided to go to Real Ave together. And then you've got Stamanic going on loan to Emmanuel Markinov's second team he owns, Olympiacos. And then they've decided to let go Cheku Kuyate and Wayne Hennessy. Too busy selling on good of their players, and I think that is the reason why they are going to finish 18th in the league. Up next, Southampton. You can tell where I'm going to go with this one. Good transfer business, not enough quality though. Taylor Harwood-Bellis, good quality last season for Burnley. Tried to keep him up, just failed. Flynn Downs, brilliant, phenomenal performances for Southampton. Is he going to do it in the top division? No, I don't think so. Ben Brereton Diaz, he performed for Sheffield United kind of last season. He was in fire for Blackburn the season before that. Villarreal's move hasn't worked. He gets to have another shot at the Premier League. But I don't think he's going to perform. And then you've got Sugawara to add to the second good right back that Southampton have. Kyle Walker-Peters and Sugawara. It's going to be giving Russell Martin a headache. It's almost as big as a headache as blooming Ryan Manning and Charlie Taylor. And then you've got Ronnie Edwards and Nathan Wood. They've signed 3 centre-backs in the same transfer window. And they've already got centre-backs like Jan Bednarek and possibly Duja Coletta-Carr until they sold him to Olympique Lyon. What is with Olympique Lyon and us farming in the Premier League? It's worse than Man City. And then you've got them selling Lianco on. They've sold Roman Peru. They've let Che Adams go. And that is the reason why I think they're going to finish last, because they haven't replaced Che Adams. Yeah, you can put Brereton Diaz up front, but what about the main striker? Yeah, they have got Adam Armstrong. I don't think he's going to perform in the Prem. And therefore, Southampton are going to finish bottom. Up next, Tottenham Hotspur. Good deals all round here. Dominic Solanke for £67 million. Brilliant deal to replace Harry Kane. They've finally found a man to fill the boots and dust the trophy cabinet. And then you've got Archie Gray. I feel sorry for him. 20 years of age, had more chance of winning a trophy at Leeds than Tottenham, and now his trophy cabinet has been slammed shut by Fabrizio Romano quicker than his transfer was slammed shut. And then you've got Lucas Bergvall, and that is really it for the ingoings. And then outgoings, Joe Rodon to Leeds. Probably they could have done it in a swap deal fashion, but they didn't think about that. And then you've got Ivan Perisic to Hajduk Split, Sessegnon back to Fulham where he started his career, and Dombele, the club's record signing, let go on a free, a waste of 60 million on a player who has flopped the most in a Tottenham shirt in my eyes. And then you've got Eric Dyer, free transfer to Bayern so he can play with his blooming English buddy Harry Kane. Japhet Tanganga started out at Augsburg, then went to Millwall on loan. Now he's permanently at Millwall. And then you've got a player like Pierre Berg, the captain of Southampton 3-4 years ago, snapped up by Tottenham, played brilliantly the first 2 seasons, then disappeared quicker than Casper the Ghost. And then you've got Brian Gill, another flop in a Tottenham shirt, still not as bad as Ndombele with the transfer fee, but he's gone out on loan. And then Lalage Overlees, supposedly the next Messi from Rosario Central. Instead, he's become the next loan man. And that is the reason why I'm going to put Tottenham 6th. West Ham United here. This could demote Manchester United because West Ham, busy transfer window. Max Kilman in the door for around 50 million. Crescencio Somerville for 30 million. Fulkrug for 27 million. Luis Guilherme, not heard of him, for 23 million. Wes Foderingham, a third goalkeeper on a free. And then Guido Rodriguez to fit nicely in with Edson Alvarez, Thomas Souček. You can take your pick. And they've signed Todibo on loan, and I do believe there is an option to buy in that. And if they do buy him, that would be an absolute steal. However, when you're buying big players like that and making a statement, it does come with a consequence. Like selling Said Benrahma and Thilo Kehrer, but they're not really big players. They weren't playing last season under David Moyes, and Julian Lopetegui at the helm. That's the only reason why he really signed Max Kilman. He's worked with him before, and he was absolutely phenomenal for Wolves, and he deserves it. At West Ham, I reckon he could get his first caps for England, and I am actually going to put West Ham in 7th and demote Man United to 8th. And finally, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Big transfer window was expected for Gary O'Neill. And guess what? The exact opposite happened. Only signing Tommy Doyle, Pedro Lima from Brazilian side, and a guy called Gomez from Braga. They are really taking the Portuguese national team to the next level, aren't they? Adding in a couple Brazilians and you're getting a blooming tango. And then you've got Larson from Celta de Vigo. And that's really it. And then they've sold Pedro Neto for 60 million and Maximilian Kilman for 50 million. They've got 110 million from player sales and they haven't done anything with it. I reckon they're going to struggle. However, I reckon they will finish ahead of Ipswich. And I'm just going to make a late tweak actually. I'm going to move Bournemouth up to 14th, Wolves to 15th, Ipswich to 16th, Everton to 17th. And that is my predictions on the baseline. However, we now have the Premier League champions to decide. There are 4 teams in the running: Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal and Aston Villa. And my Premier League champions of the 24-25 season will be Liverpool. Bare transfer window, but Arne Slot's going to work a masterclass. Or he'll become the third manager. The third bold, good manager at a top club. And then you've got the second manager, if he flops, to be a wish Pep Guardiola, following in the footsteps of Erik ten Hag. Thank you for watching. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe. And I will catch you around for the next video where I'll be ranking kits and also casting my match day 1 predictions. So, for now, I'll see you soon.